Yeah.
Is it going?
Yes, it is.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another AP Human Geography video. I am Mr. Latimer,
And I'm Dr. Scoggins.
and today we're going to go over skill 2.3.
Before we do that, I would like to know, or actually let you know, because I already know. Today's lesson is brought to you by the pyramids.
Pyramids, people died building them, and you'll die when you get to the top of it.
Why?
Because you're going to learn about population pyramids today.
Oh, I thought the physical pyramids. Like if you climb the pyramid, you just die.
Actually, it's illegal to do it.
Well, yeah, but I'm just okay.
Right, okay.
So after today's lesson, you will be able to describe elements of population composition used by geographers and explain ways that geographers depict and analyze population composition.
To summarize it all, guys, you're going to learn how to read a population pyramid.
A population pyramid, hence the pyramid.
That is paying for today's lesson.
So he died
Yeah.
and going up to the right.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are population pyramids, and we're going to spend a lot of this unit talking about population pyramids. They come in all shapes and sizes. There are different stages, which we'll get into in later lessons. You're going to understand what a population pyramid is and how to read it.
Yes.
Okay. So population pyramids. What does it do? It shows you the population of a country. It's going to throw a whole lot of numbers and colors and shapes at you. I know it's overwhelming. You just got to know what to look for. So it shows you the age groups and the genders. So the colors represent the genders. The blue is on the left. Those are the men. Women are on the right, usually shown in pink. But sometimes you'll see it in black and white.
Now, how would you know the side? Well, this is what I tell my students. Fellas,
Yeah.
You're on the left.
Yes.
Ladies, you're on the right. Why?
Because women are always right.
Exactly. Women are always right.
Yes. And if you look in the middle, you'll see the gender. So each rectangle or cohort, as we'll talk about in a second, represents a 4-year age group. Okay. So how do you read a population pyramid? First, look at the country and the date. Okay, I stress that because you're going to see some questions showing you a population pyramid from 20 years ago, or even one projected
20 years in the
the
future.
future. And it's going to say, like, okay, where was this country 20 years ago, or where will it be in 20 years? They'll do something like that. So you want to know what country you're looking at, and you want to know when it happened. It will tell you. It's got to find it. It doesn't say it on this one because this is a fake pyramid. Okay, well, it is. It's not a real one. Each rectangle that you see, like this, is called a cohort. So you would say, I want to look at the 10 to 14 male cohort. The demographic people know what you're talking about, and they'll be okay, and they'll start doing research. Okay. The largest cohort is the average age group of that country. Okay. So for this country that doesn't exist, it's the 0 to 4 age group. It is the biggest age group. Now, what we would say is this means this is a young country. The average age group reflects the kind of the embodiment of the country. So whatever's the biggest determines what it's like. So America is a middle-aged country. Our biggest age group is in their 40s right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're kind of a middle-aged country. But that can change. You can go from being a young country to an old country to a middle-aged country. Things change. But it takes time. Okay, we see trends. Trend is a pattern. So we can see patterns in pyramids by looking at what's going on the bottom. So what we see here at the bottom is a high birth rate. We have the biggest part of this country's population is the young people. But what we see is that people tend to die as they get older. And it's a pretty fast process of death. Okay, we don't have many old people. Okay. Now, if we notice at the bottom, the birth rate is a lot smaller. Like the 5 to 9 is really big, but then the 0 to 4 is like half the size of that. That means that their birth rate decreased. Doesn't mean the babies died. It just means people are having less kids. Okay, and that's kind of a good thing, actually. Well, it depends.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah. Okay. How does a population pyramid explain a country's development? Now, this is very important.
The least developed and the more developed. Now, this has changed so many times since we started teaching this, and even when we were in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, because it used to be
There's non-developed.
Non-developed and developing.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't use the word non-developed anymore because non-developed is
It's negative.
It's negative and yeah.
Yeah.
So we use the word least developed. The least developed countries are going to have massive young population and small elderly population. population,
like you see in this picture.
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
This is going to look like a triangle. The pyramid is going to look like a true pyramid, like a triangle.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why is that you're going to have more people having more children. We're going to be talking about death rates,
Yeah.
birth rates, fertility rates coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So for the less developed countries, they're less developed, meaning they have less technology, less medicine. So this is also less birth controls. This is going to result in a massive young population. Now, the lack of medicine, lack of trained doctors is going to result in a high death rate. People are just going to die from diarrhea. You laugh, but it's true. Cholera.
That's a nicer way of saying it.
Or yeah. Okay. Compare that to the more developed countries that will have a smaller young population. I mean smaller, I'm comparing it to Afghanistan. By comparison, the United States has a smaller young people population. Okay. Now, why is this happening? We talked about this before. As countries get more developed, the cost of living increases. So the availability for you to have multiple kids becomes impossible financially. You just can't handle it. Also, if you live in cities, you don't really have a space for the kids. Okay. How do you know what the pyramid's supposed to look like? Well, it can look like a rectangle. I know it's not a rectangle, but it's not really a pyramid either. It's more of like almost solid straight lines. And then the old people, there's actually a lot of old people. Like there's a sizable amount of population living into their elderly years compared to Afghanistan, which is showing that 0% have made it beyond the age of 85. Okay. In the United States, that's not impossible. You actually have people who are living
beyond 85.
Beyond 85, yeah. Okay. Okay, dependency ratio. This is a concept that my students have struggled with every year. The dependency ratio is a ratio. It means you're comparing things. So you're comparing the number of people who are working in a country compared to those who are too young or too old. We're not looking at the unemployed working age people. We're looking at people who are physically too young or too old to work. So if you look at the population pyramid, it's people aged 15 to 65. Okay? That is your dependency ratio. 15 to 65. Those are your working age groups. If you're older than 65, you should be retired. I say should.
Should. There's some people who work past that.
And then 14 and younger, yeah, you can work. Not really legal, though.
It's not legal at all.
Yeah.
Child labor law.
Yeah. So you might be wondering, okay, why are we studying this? Well, if there are too many people who don't work, if your young population is too big, if your old population is too big, taxes are going to be needed to be raised to take care of these people. And who's paying the taxes? It's the working age people. Okay. And this bothers the working age people because if taxes go up, they're going to start having less kids, which will have negative impact decades later for the country. Now,
which exasperates the problem further.
Yes.
Because as you have less kids over time, the people who are working will become elderly and no one else is there to work.
Yes.
So countries like, I guess, countries that are going through this.
Oh, Germany, Italy,
Japan.
The countries that were all the bad guys in World War II. Interesting. Well, and Russia, but they're good. No. Quotations. Okay. Now, if the number of working age people is too low, a way to fix this is to bring in a lot of immigrants, because immigrants generally are already in the working age group. That's what America does. That's how America has maintained, if I go back here, it's how America has maintained this healthy working age middle group, because we don't have a strong young population. We can see there's actually a trend of it decreasing. It's getting smaller every 4 years. So we bring in immigrants, and immigrants statistically are known to have larger families. So it actually is helping a country maintain a healthy dependency ratio. Okay, but some countries like Japan are against immigration. So you're going to see their population pyramids completely go away. They're going to go from a triangle to a V. They're going to flip upside down, which we'll explain later. Okay, sex ratio, the number of men compared to women. Now, usually it's pretty 50-50. Usually, though, it's 51% women, 49% men, because men are more prone to dying from physical labor and being outside.
Outside.
I mean, men are more prone to making riskier behavior. It's true.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's just being outside.
I mean, that's where the death happens,
Just walking around.
or you die on the toilet. But that's usually when you're old.
Oh my.
Okay. Okay. Women usually live longer than men, and you're going to notice that when you go to nursing homes. But you're also going to notice it here, like in this population pyramid. There is a large elderly female population compared to the men. Isn't that interesting? Well, also, this is West Virginia. Do you know what kind of economic activities they do in West Virginia?
Do they have any
They have coal mining.
Oh, well, most of the guys are
dying. They died from coal mining.
Black lung.
They died. Okay. Now you can even expand that just beyond West Virginia, and you can look at China. China, due to the Great Leap Forward and the one-child policy, resulted in a situation where there's a very small young people population. And on top of that, they have very few girls. In the 90s and the 80s, the Chinese were giving away their Chinese girls to Americans to be adopted, or they would have the girls aborted or killed when they were born. So what we see is a weird imbalance in China where there's more men than there are women. And this has given women more political influence in China because now women have more of a say, because you kind of want to couple. If you're a man, typically in China, statistically, you're going to need to find a spouse to continue procreating. But there's not enough women, so we're going to see a shrinking in Chinese population. And we've already seen that, as China used to be the largest country in time population, but now it's India. So we're going to see China's population shrink a lot in your lifetime.
So, how does understanding population pyramids help us? The big why does this matter? Who cares?
Yeah.
We can see changes in birth and death rates. Okay. This allows countries to know when and where to build more schools, hospitals, nursing homes, and other services. This allows us to understand the population almost holistically.
Yeah.
Okay. If we see our population aging or decreasing, we invite more immigrants into the country to fill jobs, which stimulates the economy.
Yeah.
This also allows us to determine development, least developed. Is what we've talked about.
Yeah.
The biggest why, though, is probably when it comes to making decisions based off of what your population needs at that time.
Like if you look at these three pyramids, the youthful population, they got a lot of kids. So they're going to need to build schools. They're going to need to hire teachers. They need to probably bring in teachers to educate their people. If they don't, because since there's not that many people surviving, you probably don't have that many educated people. So you're going to need to bring in educated people. You have to bring in more schools, bring in the infrastructure for that. So that's where the taxpayer money is going to go. Flip that around. You have the aging population. So you have this middle group here that's going to have to take care of these elderly people. That's going to be a problem because these elderly people for the next 20 years are going to be eating a lot of food and just like living in nursing homes. And so you're going to need nurses, you're going to need nursing homes, hospitals, doctors, and government services to take care of them. Well, that money is going to come from the working age groups' taxes.
That's right.
Okay. But ideally, what you want is this middle one, the aged population, where I know it's not a perfect column, but it's almost a straight line. Well, that's perfect. Okay. And that is it for today's lesson. When we come back, we're going to learn about population dynamics.
It's dynamic.
Yes. You're going to learn how population pyramids change over time. And we'll catch you guys next time.